government should declare them as foreign terrorist organizations. By doing that, you're tying Mexico's hands into not being able to protect those individuals. You're actually forcing our banks to not be able to launder their money. Mm-hmm. You're removing that influence, that power that the cartels have to not only move hundreds of thousands of people, but also the drugs that are leading to a lot of the violence in our major cities. Remember, we have cartels in every major city in the US,
right?
And they are able to operate with almost complete impunity.
Well, I'd just like to share a few numbers to start with. In the Rio Grande Valley here in Texas in 2014, of all of the men that Border Patrol apprehended, fewer than 1% had a child with them. That's now 50%. So the difference between 2014 and now is not a catastrophic event in their home country. It's that they've figured out that if I bring a child, I get the golden ticket in. You're detained with Border Patrol for maybe 2 days, and then you're released into the country. You've got a 98% chance of staying indefinitely in the country. So another story that I heard from Border Patrol was recently there was a Honduran man who brought a 1-year-old child. Luckily, Border Patrol was vigilant enough to figure out that child, the man admitted that child was not his. I have no idea what could have possibly happened to that child had that man been released into the United States. But there's many more that they miss. I know in Yuma, in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, 550 fake families. So that's about 3 a day just in Yuma, and that's just the ones they catch. And Border Patrol says there's many, many more. They are so overwhelmed. They have 1,100 in custody in a capacity 410 people facility. They have to just get them out so quickly, and that's just the human side, the cost side. Yuma Border Patrol chief said he expects to spend $1.2 million this year on just supplies, just the showers, the meals, the hygiene products, the baby formula, the baby diapers. And then beyond that is the medical 24-hour, 24/7 medical assistance in both of the Yuma facilities. So I don't know how anyone can look at that.
So I heard you guys, saw some comments. You guys said, video's blurry and you can't hear the person. Well, that's because I've been in a PR conference after a day out here on the border of McAllen, Texas. We were investigating with angel parents. These are parents that lost their children. We wanted to go down to the border and see what's happening and go to the very points where the illegal immigrants cross over. Now here's the stuff that drives me a little bonkers. We never hear the stories. I mean, forget the stories of the suffering of the angel parents. I mean, I'm not even talking about them. I mean, one woman tells me about her son who had an illegal classmate who wanted the kid's truck. So he strangled him, tortured him, and burned him. Literally just burned his body. And just, not everybody is growing up, folks, in Christian America. And so you open up, it's like you open up the door to any predator that wants to come in. And you're getting predators. And the left makes it seem like it's some humanitarian thing. You know who those children are? They're finding that the children are actually not even the children of the parents that are bringing them. Got men in their 30s dragging a kid by his wrist. They give infants and children food. They give their parents food, and the fathers don't even know what to do, with a diaper, don't know what to do with anything because they're not the actual fathers. The cartels own the real estate on the opposite side of the Rio Grande all the way through Arizona. This is all known. I mean, I'm talking to the border people, the police here. The cartels own the real estate. They charge $400 a person crossing over. So they're making more money. 1,000, you figure it out, $400 a person, 1,000 immigrants a day, that's $400,000 a day. So what is that going to be, $2 million a week? They're making more money off of the immigration business than they are anything else. Mexico is very happy to have the immigrants go through there because there's the Mexican immigrants alone send back $29 billion to the country. It's not $29 billion coming to the U.S. economy. It's $29 billion going out of the U.S. economy into Mexico. Now, you talk about a trade deficit. We got a real trade problem in Mexico. They're making $29 billion last year off of the immigration crisis. So who has an incentive to fix it? Democrats don't. They want the votes. They want to flood the voter rolls with socialist-leaning people that are coming over here because they're hearing that everything's free. You understand how serious this is? Republicans, why didn't they solve this problem? Because they're a bunch of bozos. The guys, with the exception of the Freedom Caucus and Louis Gohmert and a couple of guys in Texas, they're a bunch of idiots. They're establishment people. They're country club people. They're all best friends with the wacko Democrats up there in Washington. And what you got is these guys have all the big donors that have the big businesses. They want the cheap labor. Spirit of greed for money on the Republicans. Yeah, okay, let's own it. It's not you and me. It's them. And then the spirit of sheer power and Marxist lust, which is, the perverse bizarreness of the Democratic side of the equation that would flood the borders and destroy a nation and drive it further into a ruined economy. Those guys are destined to lead us to a Great Depression. They really don't care because they're going to be in power at the end of the day. The elites never suffer, folks. It's folks like you and me that pay the price. So I'm doing this press conference here with these guys because I wanted to come down personally and see what's happening. I wanted to give you the message of what's happening because it's a singular threat. They really want to flip Texas. They've got California, they got New York, they got a battleground Florida. Now they're going to unleash voting from 1 million, thanks to the new policy in Florida. They're going to release 1 million new voters from the prisons in Florida. So Trump's 2020 chances of Florida just got very challenged because the criminals can all vote. And even though he's the only guy that's ever done judicial reform and released people from prison, Democrats didn't do it, Trump did it. The overwhelming probability is that Democrats are going to influence the voting blocks in the prisons. So we have a real challenge, don't we? And I am not going to back up or back off. Some people say, well, Lance, you're so political. Well, that's because I'm prophetic. And I don't really see where the fruit of doing Christian conferences, talking to Christians about spiritual things, is as relevant as talking about the destruction of civilization and the ruination of the strongest Christian nation in history, the United States of America, and our role in preserving the global order for Christian nations and for struggling democracies. We are the one. If we go down, they all go down. China's ready to pounce on the Asia-Pacific Rim. Russia's back to mischief. Thanks to Obama, Iran, when it was on its knees, got an infusion of several $100 billion. I don't know why Trump can't get money for a wall and Obama could get money to pay off a terrorist state. Has anyone ever figured that out yet? Has anyone got that? Mark Levine would say, Mr. Producer, you got an answer for that? Oh my gosh, yeah, it gets me upset. It gets me upset because I feel like Christians are responsible for their nation. By the way, talk about transforming nations. Why the heck is everybody trying to get out of El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico and come to the United States anyway? We talk about sheep nations and goat nations. What the heck is wrong with that? And who are these churches? Mostly Catholic, I'm sorry to say, with their lovely communist generosity, trying to help these people to be able to make their way into the United States, working with the cartel and dark money from leftist organizations that want to break the border and play that issue and drive votes into their corner because they really don't care about what's happening to America. And by the way, the humanitarian crisis is think about how these people are these kids, these children are being taken and used for the purpose of getting the adults into the country. I say Sessions had the right idea. My friend Romero Pena said, Mr. Attorney General, why don't you just do a DNA test? You can test, you got 30 days, these people are in custody. Find out if they're really the parent. Here's what we ought to do. If they're not the parent, the DNA test should prove that this person's actually a trafficker, a kidnapper, and immediately they should be put into the criminal process. Not catch and release, immediate. If they don't match the DNA, if you're not actually the parent, then don't, and you're claiming to be, done. Then you're a criminal. And if you're not the parent, then what the heck are you? You're going to come over with a child in your arm that isn't yours? And what's the story here? Criminal. You see what I mean? It'll stop an awful lot of foolishness. But, you know, Donald Trump's the only guy that thinks that way. You almost have to be a New Yorker to think that way. Hey, I'm sorry you couldn't hear what they were saying. I really should have turned the camera on earlier and gotten a microphone, because the guy, the Breitbart guy, the guy in the middle, he covers the cartels. He covers the criminal networks in Mexico. He's like that dude. I might probably have to get him alone. And then Ben is amazing. That guy's an activist. He's just a man of God. And he was the first guy talking. And what is it? One Voice America, I think, is his company. I was going to say it earlier and I couldn't remember it. But maybe I'll get an interview with him. But these guys we need more media, don't you think? Don't you think? Because what's happened is Christians are sloppy. We're all sloppy. Well, these people are trying to flee and get in the United States. No, they're not trying to flee and get in the United States. They're being corralled and recruited, and some are being abducted, and many of them are being raped. And then you've got the MS-13 and half a dozen drugs coming into and half a dozen drug cartels working into the country. My God, if we saw what's happening, would you let a pedophile loose in your nursery in your church? Well, Lance, you can't judge. Oh, yes, you can. And you would require the church to judge who's going to be taking care of volunteering to work with your kids, your little boys and girls. Let's not be stupid. The church has got to get it right. Wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Not compassionate like a bleeding heart and dumb as a doorknob. We have to balance the two, wise and compassionate. And people say, well, be like Jesus. Here's a great verse. Chapter 1, the Gospel of St. John. And Jesus trusted no man, for he knew what was in him. You want to be trusting? Don't be a sap. Jesus didn't trust people. You know why? He knew what was in him. What did he know was in him? The sinful nature. The sinful nature. The only thing that holds back the sinful nature to a great extent? Transparency. It's things being visible, things being brought to the light. And that's what we need right now. More transparency in these stories, more light. Expose the sinful nature of what our humanity is capable of, and stop trying to be more compassionate, more loving than Jesus. In fact, we're being ignorant, and we're losing our inheritance, and we're losing our country. Amen. And I want you to be optimistic. I don't want you to be discouraged at all. I'm rather happy. I'm happy. You know why? Because I feel as though there's an anointing for this Reformation. And the zeal of the Lord of hosts is an energizing force. Make you feel young again. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I got to get back into that press conference. Thank you for pushing through the first couple of minutes with me, and share this post with other people. Will you do that? I'm so pleased. I got 500 with you live right now. Let's see if we can get 30,000 people to watch this. Look at my hair. It's like Dr. Zorba from the old Dr. Kildare. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I want to thank you for watching this broadcast. And if you'd like to see more of what we've got coming up, and you never know when something new is going to be interesting, just hit the subscribe button right there, and I look forward to seeing you in a future broadcast.